Okay, back live from the Glen. Sorry about that. This is the first lap of the race. I mean, Wei Han, this track is providing a tough challenge for us during the the week, even on Wednesday. Winkelmann, Crow, and Clawiter 1, 2, and 3 as we finish the first lap of the race and we begin the second. And it looks like everything went well in the first lap. No major collisions, I think, and everything is looking good for the rest of the race.
As we've just seen a bit of tussling there by the white wide-light Porsche of Abhirafi Putra and his couple of other cars around him, Saiful Arifin and Leonardo Barbanera. As these cars make their way through the inner loop, can be called bus stop, so we call it the inner loop as well, and now they come through the outer loop with the carousel. So Niranjan Kumar, as we see the foreground here, he sits in P4 and he leads Ahmad Noor on the bright yellow KFC Ferrari. And yeah, Jasrin Jali in P6 in the black Porsche. And as we see now, Saiful Arifin trying to make a move on Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira down through this boot section.
The boot section provides a couple of good passing opportunities. The first one, I think, is the very first corner, the shoot, the left-hander, and then you have the short straight after the uphill right-hander. Then you get basically a good chance at making a move on the inside of the opponent before you go to the left-hander that gets you back to the short track. So Winkelmann is in the lead. Crow is very, very close, as you see. This is showing the good pace of Winkelmann because we know how hard it is to make the Ferrari work on this track, and he's leading, but he's leading basically a field of Porsches and a couple of Ferraris here and there, and those Porsches are closing and closing and closing on him.
It is for good reason that Anthony Winkelmann's I rating is in the range of 5,000, as he's a driver of another class, absolute class, and he leads Grant Crow, who leads Peter Powder, both of them from ISR Simsa team, and they seem to be forming that for themselves a breakaway from the rest of the field. So it's 1, 2, 3 Winkelmann, Crow, and Clawiter. As we just said, that Grant has actually even began to close the gap a little bit with Anthony Winkelmann, so seems to be a bit of a deja vu from the race a couple of weeks ago when we've got such a similar situation. As Grant Crow tries to sit in the slipstream of Anthony Winkelmann through that short stretch here between toe and heel corners, sorry, as they now make their way to rejoin the main circuit. Of course, this left-hander that you're looking at right now seems easy to take, but it's actually a rather difficult corner to navigate to attack due to its nature where it's slightly off-camber, meaning that drivers have to carry through their car with less speed than they'd expect.
It also has no name, as we see Kumar disappearing from our timing screens.
Oh, there we go again.
Hopefully it's just a temporary thing and he will come back to us. But as for now, he's dropping on the order. And I think that Winkelmann will be under attack at the bus stop. He's defending the inside. It's going to be tough to have a good run through here. And I think that Crow will have a better exit on the outer loop here, as you see. Actually, the Ferrari held quite good speed through the inner loop and the outer loop, but now you see Crow is absolutely bumper to bumper, well, not front bumper to rear bumper, yeah, so bumper to bumper with the car in front, and I think he will go for a pass in the next couple of laps because he's looking absolutely fast.
Absolutely. Let's have a ride on the Porsche 911 RSR of Grant Crow as he looks to attack Anthony Winkelmann along this short stretch here. To take the outside. Again, Marco, very, very loud Porsche 911. You have to speak a bit louder as they now attack. Look at how much they're decelerating through this corner compared to usual corners due to the lack of banking, and in fact, negative banking through those corners, and now they've come to the last 2 corners of this circuit. A little more banking, able to carry a slight bit more speed as Franco takes a bit too much curb there. Might have compromised their exit as they come through this start finish line for the 3rd or 4th time. Hard on the brakes as they go down to 3rd gear.
That tire wall in the final corner, sorry to interrupt you, but has ended many races of mine, and you might be having a good run for many laps, and then you just go to the gas a little bit too soon on that final corner, and you are into the tire barriers. So very frustrating corner to get right.
Absolutely. As Ryan Crowe and Anthony Wickerman now go on the brakes, slightly dabbing the brakes as they take the bus stop chicane. You do not want to unsettle the car, especially at this point, where you're essentially finessing the balance of the car at high speed. Cameras are back to Seifel, Alex Pohl at this moment actually. So as they've just taken that stretch there, exiting the SS too wide, and now he takes the carousel. Yep, overtake on Brian ran first that Alex Pohl made.
I was taking notice of the cars in the practice, and I had a confirmation of what I was suspecting in the previous rounds, but I waited for official confirmation. And Alex Pohl's car is a little more on the pinkish side, whilst his teammates have a more red and white Ferrari. You'll see when they are on camera in the next few laps maybe. But yes, his car is slightly pinkish, and I absolutely love this look on the number 399 Ferrari.
Fine observation that you're making there, Marco. Yeah, I do find that the car of Alex Pohl is like a bit palish. So as Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira came under a bit of threat from Saiful Arifin as de Oliveira tries to defend his 5th position. Let's have a ride on his gearbox camera off. Oh, actually no, we shouldn't do that. As Saiful Arifin has just taken the inside, and now they come through this stretch side by side. Arifin seals that move and moves up to P5, although there's still this bus stop chicane and this carousel for Leonardo de Oliveira to try to make a comeback.
Yeah, 3 Ferraris fighting against each other. We'll see, I think, Nurazam in this fight very soon, as behind them we have Jali and Putra making grounds, and in the front of the field I have to say that Winkelmann is still under attack by Crowe, but has been able to create a little bit of a gap, only 0.6 of a second, so not much, but the attack that was looking so near from Crowe on Winkelmann a couple of laps ago is now looking a little less probable, because you know, when you are 0.7 of a second back, it's very hard to try and go for a lunge, even though it's early days, and we know that the pit stops, and especially the traffic that you get after the pit stop, can have an impact on your race. And also this is without taking into consideration possible mistakes, as we have the timing is, yeah, Crowe is in the pits. What happened there? Grant Crowe is in the pits.
Could be an early strategy there, or he might have come into a bit of contact with another driver at the front of the field. Of course, he now drops all the way down to 13, 14, 15, as I believe that means that Peter Carlton has taken over in P2, and that also moves Ahmad Nurazam to P3.
I am taking a look at the live timing, and there's no indication of a possible problem. As we see Mike Burdett running side by side with Brian Ramforth in the carousel, as Alex Pohl goes for a bit of a ride, and he's in the gravel there. You see just for a second his car parked in the beach on the outside of the inner loop, and he's losing tons of positions there.
Yeah, but Mike Burdett having climbed 9 positions from where he first started. Of course, Mike is also one of the championship contenders of this series, and he currently sits in P10.
Yeah, it was strange because I think he didn't set a qualifying time, so he started in the very back of the pack. Good recovery drive for him. Of course, long ways to the top of the field, but still, I think you know, he's got Crow 6 seconds in front of him. It's still doable. I think a top 5 might be. We know how fast he is, even though he's got slow on the side of his car. He's very fast, and I think with a little bit of strategy, we'll be able to catch his opponents in the top 5. As Jamal Kandour is preparing a move on Ramforce in the first corner. Let's see if the Ford can make up a position. Side-by-side action, good exit speed by Kandour. Now he has the inside going up the hill, very dangerous section here, but he is able to make it stick. He will have to defend hard on the backstretch, going into the inner loop. But it looks
going
like
to be a bit spicy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It looks like he will be able to get the move done in the end. Yeah, great move by Jamal Kandour, and he gets P10 with this great bit of driving.
Yep, great drive there by Jamal Kandour and Brian Ramforce. Of course, Jamal seems to be able to hold on with his internet connection tonight.
Don't jinx it, man.
Well, Jamal has a P. Oh, should I say that? Yep, he currently sits in P11, and he is now behind Mike Burdett. Mike's the fast driver, so I have a feeling that Jamal may take advantage of Mike's pace and perhaps follow him to snake through the field. Surprise, surprise!
Ooh, look
Porsche.
at that! Haha! Man, that caught me by surprise. Paul Nelson is P13. He started P21. I think he was the last car on the grid. And the Coca-Cola Porsche is back and is having a nice race now in behind the Ferrari of Simon Sanchez and Ford of Ramforce. Ramforce has got a strange race so far because he gained a few positions at the beginning of the race, but now he's back where he started and he's falling and falling, I think. So not... oh, look at that. Great move there by Nelson, but Sanchez is defending.
Ford versus Ferrari versus Porsche. Mr. Coca-Cola trying to make a move on Chris Barnes, who sits in P40, so this is a fight for P14. Of course, Simon Sanchez has made 2 positions up from where he started before. He sits in P13. Drag race, rather slipstream race down this stretch before they have to break for this bus stop chicane, and they do so nicely. A bit too much over the curbs goes Chris Barnes there. But that should not be too much of damage to the Ferrari 488.
Even though I have to apologize because I think that that one in front is not Ramforce. It's Ford. Okay. It's Chris Barnes, yeah.
Porsche going for a comeback move as they try to take this side by side. Although Paul Nelson has now returned to P15 as he's not been able to make the move ahead. Oh, all right, maybe a little bit of comeback here through this corner. Of course, this is one of the slowest corners of this circuit due to a lack of positive camber.
So the battle for P3 is also looking feisty as Arifin is very close to Nurazam. Ferrari
Feisty
versus
indeed.
Ferrari once again.
Side by side they come through this bus stop chicane, but Armando Zambelli still defending his 3rd position. And they're also coming under a bit of pressure from Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira, so this is really exciting stuff here, Carousel. And look at that, I think Jasri Jali wants to have a slice of the pie as well. He's trying to join the party. So Mr. KFC Yellow, Ahmad Nourizam there in P3 leading this 4-way battle pack. is just going to be exciting as Saiful Arifin just closes in the gap a slight bit with Ahmad Nurazam. And this is going to be a four-way train drag race down this stretch towards Hill Corner.
So I'm looking at the times just quickly, and Grand Crow is lapping in the 42.4, so good laps for him. As all de Oliveira is very wide there, no damage I think, but he will be under pressure from the Porsche. Is able to maintain the position. And the other thing, I'm set to report that Neerajan Kumar has retired from the race due to a connection issue.
Unfortunate stuff there. As we have a look at the Porsche of, I believe, Jaswin Jali making a move for P5 with De Oliveira, and now it's going to be side by side. Nope, De Oliveira still able to cling on to P5.
But one lap down at the moment, except getting into, I think, the first quarter of the race is done, or almost done, I say, as we are getting close to the 20-minute mark in this race. Winkelmann, Klauiter, and Nurazam, 1, 2, 3, and then it's Arifin, Oliveira, and Jali. You see them on your screen right now with Arlan Sanders in 9th position.
I think, Marco, I think we've gone offline. Right, your top 5 still stands as it is Anthony Winkelmann, Peter Klauter, Ahmad Nurazam, Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira, and Jaswin Jali. They take your top 5 as we have a look at 3, 6, and 7 taking it side by side. That's Saiful Arifin versus Abi Putra. And Putra in that white Porsche still holds on to P6 as they took that off-camber slow left-hander over there. Cameras are currently at Jasri Jali, who sits in P5.
A corner that has no name, by the way, as we get some aerial shots of the Glen, and now back on the track with this pack that we have been following basically for the entirety of the last minutes, because there are, I would say, two different pack mini battles, but at times these 4 guys are battling together, and Nurazam in all of this is getting a little bit of a gap, I think, to the guys behind him. As we see now on the inside there, Jali. You know, it's very hard to make a move through the bus stop. You need full cooperation from your opponent. I don't think that these guys are willing to risk their race this early for a move there.
Sure, because we've still yet to reach the halfway point of the race, because we are at around 20 odd minutes of elapsed time, although the pit window should be open any time soon. Of course, Marco, I'd also like to take this opportunity to give some shout outs to some people, some amazing people who've made this series all happen and possible. Because first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Kevin Huang and Bruno Cardoso for working on this series, for putting up the results, for managing this series, and ensuring that everything goes smoothly week in and week out. So that's Bruno Cardoso and Kevin Huang, who does some of the points, all of the points calculations in fact, and preparing the scores for every week so that we can bring the numbers to you. I would also like to give some shout out to the guys in the stewarding team. I believe Alex Poe and Leonard Coxey and Mike Burden. I believe these are the drivers who do the stewarding. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Fuji Satono from Sim Races Asia, who powered this broadcast and to make this broadcast happen week in and week out. As
Sanders makes a move on He's made a move on Putra, I think, and he's back to... Oh, sorry, he's up to P8. Sorry, that was Arifin making a move on Putra. My mistake, I think. You know, I've been a league organizer, a league steward, and this is a very, very tough job. Thankless job also. You try to make everyone happy, and sometimes it's not possible. Also, there are other life commitments, especially when it's reviewing crashes and having the standings done. So I can only imagine how tough it is for these guys and the passion that they put into this to get the league going. And it's a great league. We've had some amazing races this season, and I can't wait for what's coming next for the SRA GTE Series.
Sure, this league has actually been going on for a few years now. I think the first of the leagues actually from way back in 2012 when it began as a very small community gathering before it slowly grew in size and proportion exponentially since 2014 as it went big like that. And at the state that we have right now, at the state that it is right now today, racing has become so professional, and it seems like everyone's enjoying the Saturday nights here racing. Abi Putra in this white Porsche, as he's already had for himself a slight bit of gap. I think he's starting to maintain his consistent gap of a second behind P6, who's Saiful Arifin. Of course, De Oliveira still holding on to P4 as he has P3 driver Ahmad Wilson not too far ahead. But Peter Cowiter and Anthony Winkelman, they formed a huge break away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, and looking at the timing, because I'm still investigating what happened to Crow, he is looking like he had no contact before his pit stop. He didn't crash, he didn't went off the track. So maybe we are having a situation where the fuel tanks are limited in a way that it's just a splash and dash to the end. And he wanted to get out of, I wouldn't say traffic, because he was sitting in P2 and getting all the good slipstream from Winkelmann, or I have absolutely no idea what happened. You know, the stop was 20 seconds, so we will see if when other guys go to the pits, because maybe that could have been, I wouldn't say a slowdown that they did not respect, because the lap times were pretty consistent, the gap was consistent before he went to the pits. So even when you take a slowdown, most of the times even the act of missing the corner will make you lose time. So the gap with Winkelmann was still in the area of 0.7 of a second, and we see now Nelson and Sanchez battling for P14, the Coca-Cola Porsche, back after a few weeks of absence, and we cannot be happier.
Yep, especially so when we need all the sugar we can get for energy to do this broadcast here tonight. Paul Nelson in Pan Pacific Sim Racing, I believe that's his team. And it's a classic livery, red Coca-Cola skin on the Porsche. So I think he's had a fair amount of battles with Simon Sanchez, who's from Macau Sim Racing team. And he's in the his bright green Ford GT, and they take P14 and P15 respectively.
Yeah, it looks like the Porsche is a bit quicker, but missing that final bit of speed to make the move on the Ford GT here of Sanchez for P14. As behind we see Paul, and I think in the Ferrari, yes, you see there, white and slightly pinkish, I'd say a pastel pink, if I'm not mistaken. And now side by side on the front stretch, good exit there from Nelson. I think that Sanchez has a better speed, but Nelson will have the inside. He makes the move, and the pass is done. So good exit speed can do wonders for you. And now, of course, the other side of the medal, he will have to defend on this backside. Oh, and I think that Sanchez clipped the wall just a little bit there, but he seems to be fine. Nelson is holding the inside, and he will be able to stay in front at the inner loop and complete the pass. And he's in P14, so good job by the Ferrari. It's red, so it's a Ferrari. Of course, it's a Porsche. And we will have to see if the Ford has any damage, because I saw it clip the wall slightly on the left side when he was going up the hill on the exit of the S's.
Great driving there by Paul Nelson and Simon Sanchez. Well, of course, Simon hadn't been able to make the comeback move there through that part of the track. Cameras now down to Harlan Sanders and Jamal Gandhi. Of course, Jamal, I think he's brushing the tire barriers down the exit of the final corner. This is going to be a drag race. Two black Ferraris, right? Drag race down that short stretch as they now exit the first corner and they come to the S's and through. Full throttle down all the way to the next corner coming right up ahead. So this is going to be Jamal's attempt to make a move on Harlan Sanders. As he does so, he takes the right, and this is going to be a side-by-side. Is this going to be a side-by-side into the bus stop chicane? Almost there. Jamal snapped, or rather, he took the position right ahead of Harlan Sanders, and P9 goes to Jamal Gondo. Because he started P20 and he's made 11 position. He's made an 11 position gain, and he's now gone up to P9. Harlan Sanders relegated down to P10.
Great move by Jamal Gandour there, and you know, if you want to hit the wall in the final corner, you have to hit it like he did, with the side of the car perfectly square to the tires, so you don't get very, very minimal damage, and sometimes even a little bit of a boost going down the front stretch. And now he's trying to pull a little bit of a gap. As you see on the left side, the gaps shown in regard to the race leader. As we see that the battle for P3 has just a little bit calmed down, because now Nurazam has been able to get 1 second over Oliveira. But just looking at this pack, you know that these guys are extremely close to one another, and they will be fighting once again pretty soon, especially if they resolve the issues between Oliveira, Jali, Arifin, and Putra is falling back a little bit from the previous laps, and now he's some 2.5 seconds back from the black and green Ferrari of Arifin right in front of him. As we see, maybe Paul Nelson had a problem, because I see him dropping down the standings.
Yeah, that seems so.
And now he's taken a tow to the pits, if I'm not mistaken. So the Coca-Cola Porsche sadly struck with bad luck.
Positions have not changed that much, as we now have a look at Grant Crow versus Brian Ramphers. Of course, Grant Crow was actually in contention for the race lead at the start, but I think some issues has caused him to drop back down, and he currently sits in P12. He's taken the position ahead of Brian Ramphers. So we've got half an hour left for Grant Crow to try to regain his lost ground as much as he's able to. He currently sits in P12, and he's got Lachlan Crow up next that he should be hunting down.
So once again, we have always some long-term storyline to follow in any race that we do, and the long-term storyline this time is Grant Crow good to go until the end, or it was that pit stop too early? As Arifin on the inside here, and he makes the move on Jali for P5, and now he will have to defend once again, like we always say, on the backstretch. going to the inner loop, and maybe if he's able to defend, Oliveira will be his next target.
Absolutely a great drive there by Saiful Arifin, although Oliveira has actually drawn a further... Oh, alright. Side by side they take Saiful Arifin versus Jasrin Jali through the carousel. Fight for P5, as it does seem to be that Arifin has lost P5 to Jasrin Jali at that point.
Yeah, Jali was able to get the position back. So you know, when I never say that the move is done after turn 1 because of this, because the guy that gets overtaken has the backstretch and the inner loop and the outer loop to make the move, and so until then you are not sure if your move was successful or not. And in all of this, of course, Oliveira trying to gap a little bit, to create a gap between himself and the fighting Ferrari and Porsche, and maybe trying to close the gap on that final podium spot that now is in the hands of Ahmad Nurazam, as Anthony Winkelmann is racing basically all alone, never shown by the cameras, of course. This happens, is the curse of the leader. And if you watched some Formula 1 in the early 2000s, you knew that Michael Schumacher was basically never shown on camera, because he was sitting all the time, all alone in first position, and Winkelmann is having that same fate today. Masterful job so far, with a 4.8, almost 5 seconds lead over a very, very fast Peter Klaviter. And then Klaviter has got 14 seconds on Nurazam. So the first two positions are looking locked, but we know it's always a toss as what might happen. And then after that, no, never jinxing it. And the final podium position, of course, will be a dogfight between Nurazam, Oliveira, Jali, and Arifin, and it will all be decided by the pit stops that I say they should be close, because we are 20 minutes away from the end of the race.
Yep, none of the contending drivers have yet to take the pits, because both drivers being Kevin Huang and Paul Nelson, both of them, they've taken the pits already, but not the rest of the field. So it does look like we are past the halfway mark, so pit window should well be open at this point. Lopez de Oliveira closed the gap a slight bit more with Ahmad Nurazam. So they sit 7/10 of a second between each other as they come across the start finish line into turn 1, and the gap still maintains, still consistent at around 7 to 8 tenths of a second.
As Arlan Sanders enters the pits, to avoid any confusion for the folks watching at home, the timing is a little bit off, because actually we are in lap in minute 42 of the race and not 35, so we are under 20 minutes to go in the race, and you can see that on the live timing link provided in the stream. So it's now or never for the stops. I think in the final 20 minutes is when you have to go in. Sanders, like we said, is in. Crow is up to P11. So once again, we'll have to say, but we are seeing Arlan Sanders stop 11 seconds, 0.4. And we remember that Grant Crow had 20.2 seconds stop in the very, very beginning of the race. So still a mystery as to what's going to happen to car number 205, the Porsche. But it's an interesting mystery that we will, discover pretty soon where this is going. As Wei Han, I'm seeing Oliveira desperately trying to get close to Nurazam to make a move, and maybe there's a mistake by Nurazam and will make a move from Oliveira possible in this lap, because he has a little bit of an exit at the end of the boot section.
Sure, now let's ride on the gearbox camera of Ahmad Nurazam, please, as we want to just have a perspective of how Lopez de Oliveira takes the racing line. So you can see here, perfectly in line, both cars perfectly in line as they go through the SS. So of course, Lopez de Oliveira, he wants to optimize the slipstream through this stretch of the circuit. So I'm defending the inside line out. Lopez de Oliveira going through the outside, but not close enough, not fast enough. So Norisam still holds on to P3 as we have a slight glimpse of Jaswin and Charlie there peeping out of the rear end of Leonardo there. As they now take this boot section, was the first corner of the boot section. Great driving by all four drivers. Of course, Norisam able to hold on to P3.
As you see on the right side of your screen, you have the battle graphic, and it has been on basically for the entirety of the last 30 minutes, and the gaps have been incredibly small, and it's very hard to go to make a move when you know you have to also worry that you have a car behind, and sometimes you can go from making a pass to defending from a pass in the span of just a couple of corners, as Grant Crow is trying to make a move on Lachlan Crow right in front of him, the Porsche and the Ferrari. With the Porsche, like we said a few minutes ago, a very, very early and long stop. He seems a little bit, hesitant, and he's in. So something definitely happened in the beginning of the race, that long and early pit stop. And from a possible race win, Crow is looking at a very, very low finishing position with effectively a two-stopper that, of course, in comparison to all the other drivers, taking a one-stopper will cost him some precious time and positions.
As we've come back to this racing action, four-way battle for the final podium position. It still can be anyone's race at this point for P3 onwards, because T1 and P2 pretty much solidified, as we have a look at, the Porsche of Jaswin Jali came rather close. So did the Ferrari of Saiful Arifin at the background there. So this is Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira, currently still in P4. P4, yes, P4. Still behind Ahmad Norisam as he went a little bit too wide there. And now they brake rather hard for this low-speed left-hander, because you have to actually take this corner rather slowly due to its off-camber nature. To come back to this high-speed left-hander, due to the contrast to the left-hander, it's got a bit more banking, so they're able to carry more speed through. As Jaswin Jali has taken the pits, and this has now been reduced to a 3-horse fight for P3.
Also, Mike Burdett is in, and so these guys are staying out, and I think that they will come in the pits pretty soon, because they don't want to give any kind of advantage to Jali. Maybe some clean track, maybe some good, good 1 or 2 laps in clean air can make all the difference. And these guys, even though they are giving each other some tow on the back straight here, they are effectively fighting with each other for the past 30 minutes or so. So they would like, I think, to get into the pits, get it over, and get back on track and decide the final podium spot on track, and not via a wrong strategy in the pits. So that's what's going to happen, I think. Nurazam, Oliveira and Arifin, the 3 Ferraris you see on screen right now, I think they will go in the pits at the end of this lap, or at the most on the end of the next lap.
Let's have a look at the battle between Brian Renfers and Mike Burdett for P10 and P11. Of course, both cars also very close to each other. Only 0.2 of a second separate both of them. So this is a battle for P10 as both black Ferraris take this car side by side. Both teammates, I believe, both teammates of within Delta Sim Sport, and it looks like Mike Burdett goes to P10.
Nice move, of course, reinforce, and in the meantime, Arifin is in the pits. Nurazam and Lopez Oliveira stayed out. Bordet, of course, has already pitted. Kandur is in as well. And I was saying that, yeah, Bordet has stopped while Reinforce has not. So it was good on Reinforce to not force the issue there. With a car that has already stopped, there's no reason, honestly, to fight him so hard. And Jali, you see on the on-screen graphics,
Race
got a position.
Yeah, okay. Jaswin Jali in P7, and Saiful Arifin sneaks in actually quite a fair distance behind him in P8. Because I think earlier on in this week, or a couple of races before that were broadcasted, 2 seconds in the pit lanes, 2 seconds longer in the pit lane actually determine who would take the race win and who would take second place. So that actually does become magnified as the drivers exit the pits.
So Nurazam and Oliveira should be in at the end of this lap. Let's see, because they are at the end of the boot section and getting back on the short track, short layout.
Peter Clauter takes the pits.
Exactly. So P2 is in the pits as well, and of course we are entering the final 10 minutes of this race. So the fuel is getting. Oh, be careful, guys!
Okay, so De Oliveira, of course, he would make his decision based on Norazam's decision. So okay, so this is probably going to be a pit battle here. So let's keep our cameras on both of them. Yellow versus green. White Lab versus Macau. Ahmad Norazam versus Lopez de Oliveira. So as both cars take the pit stalls, one right ahead of the other. So this will be okay. So Lopez de Oliveira, he decided to take a much faster pit stop than Ahmad Norazam. Maybe a difference in fuel volume. So that means that Leonardo still holds on to P4. And
Well,
Ahmad Norazam drops. Okay! Wow. Right.
Wow, I'm a little bit concerned. I have to be honest. Because that... Yeah. 3.6 seconds stop. Much quicker than the second fastest stop, which was a 10-second stop by Mike Bordet. So, well, I'm very surprised, because Oliveira is always so precise and so very always an expert driver, as the leader is in the pits. But I think that Oliveira made a crucial mistake there, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble if he wants to go to the end of the race with that little fuel he put in this stop.
We will have to see about that, because we do have 10 minutes, approximately 10 minutes to go in this race. I do not have the exact figures on my screen at the moment. So Lopez de Oliveira, a rather sizable gap ahead of Jaswin Jali and Ahmad Norazam. Yellow Ferrari there, bright yellow Ferrari coming under a bit of pressure from Saiful Arifin. They take P7 and P8 respectively. So Abi Putra and Lachlan
Oliveira is pulling into the pits.
That had been a mistake by him as he underfield earlier. So this means that his hopes for contending for the final podium position is perhaps dashed at this point. So at the moment, Jaswin Jali sits in P3, and this is perhaps going to be reduced to a three-way fight for the final podium position of P3 here. Jaswin Jali, Ahmad Norazam, and Saiful Arifin. Oliver is okay! Defending the inside line there when Jaswin Jali as Ahmad Norazam swung back out as he went side by side there with Saiful Arifin through the bus stop chicane. Very risky driving, but very precise, masterful driving there through those sections as Saiful looks to come attack again along the outside of heel. This first corner of the boot boot section. So now side by side they come through this short stretch before they take this whole corner. Arifin has the inside line, Norazam has the outside line, but Norazam able to carry more speed through this whole corner, and he holds P4 ahead of Saiful Arifin.
This has given Jali a little bit of a gap that he was looking for, as Mike Burdett is closing in on these guys as well. 53 minutes on the clock, as Mark Dredge is out of the pits, and he was the final car left to do their mandatory stop. So everybody has been in and out, and we have a clear picture on the left side of your screen of the positions they effectively are occupying, all the 16 drivers that are left on the racing surface as of this moment. So Winkelmann, Clawiter and Jali the top 3, Nurazam, Arifin and Burdett the next 3, and Putra, Gandur, Sanders and Pro rounding up the top 10. So with a 2-stopper, Oliveira was able to stay in front of Crow in P11. Maybe that's because of the very, very long stop that Crow had in the beginning, and now we see an attack in the past stop chicane. Arifin on Nurazam. No, there's one way through there, and if you hold the inside, you will have a bad exit on the outer loop, but it seems like it's still enough of an advantage to not lose the position here in the shoot corner in this left-hander.
So I believe it does depend on how much speed you're able to carry through those corners, because those corners do reduce the speed of the cars by quite an amount. And also, it's also about getting the best line through the series of corners. So Norazam has been able to defend himself all race long, as we now come and have a look at Jamal Gandur, who's fighting for P6. Of course, P6 going to Mike Burdett.
That was Putra, I think, on the outside.
Oh, I'm sorry, I looked at the positions wrongly. So, battle for P7, Jamal Gandur counting P7, Abi Putra trying to attack. And he sits in P8. So this, as they now enter the boot section together, Abi Putra in the white Porsche, drawn us, having fallen back a slight bit there.
You know, Gandur has had a very nice race quietly, and he's been able to get to a nice P7, as Nurazam and Arifin are going at it once again.
They won't stop, will they? Both of them Malaysians, both of them great friends with each other, and both of them fighting it hard tonight. So this is a side-by-side through the bus stop. Nurazam still has the pace, and he's still able to hold on to P4. Maybe not. Saiful Arifin. Oh, contact! Around goes Ahmad Nurazam, and I'm not too sure if the chat, the Malaysian iRacing chat, will be that clean for tonight. Saiful Arifin up to P4, and that also means that Mike Burdett has gone up to P5. Ahmad Nurazam unfortunately gone down to P6. Oh, a bit of retribution there going to Saiful Arifin, as both drivers now into the wall.
What is going on there?
Tonight, man.
It's been so clean for so long, and it turned so ugly so quickly. We have cars on top of each other.
Out.
And they're still crashing, still more crashing here in the background, as this has put Putra in P4 and Gandur in P5. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Exactly. Might be a bit not exactly something we'd see on a regular basis here in Sim Races Asia. Of course, all of these drivers, they are very nice people. They do race professionally, so it must be rare occurrence that they slip here and there for a bit. But it did give us a bit of nice showmanship, as we have a bit of swishing there between those two drivers, Mike
Burdett and Arifin. Man, it has been so clean for so long, and then it's like somebody pushed the button and all the craziness happened in the span of 3 corners. Nurazam is out of the race. He had to tow back to the pits. So that's his race done, and Jali, Putra and Gandur are basically has been gifted. Well, Jolly was already in P3, but Putra and Handur has been gifted P4 and P5, and now Burdett is looking for more and going for that 5th position. Wow.
Wow. Final few minutes of the race, and this is what we have. I have a feeling that we might have jinxed it earlier on, Marco, so we will have a bit of apologizing to those drivers as Jamal Gandur comes under threat from side Mike Burdett. Yep, Mike Burdett. Although Jamal Gandur, like Ahmad Nurizam earlier, able to hold on to P5, but not for too long as they now come side by side. Mike Burdett. Is that Mike Burdett?
He is Mike Burdett, yeah.
Yes, Mike Burdett making the move ahead of Jamal Gandur. So positions switching here. I think Jamal is under. Yeah, Jamal sandwiched by 2 black Ferraris as he come across the final 2 corners of Watkins Glen.
So we got 59 minutes on the clock. I think that the leader got the white flag this time around, if I am not mistaken. I think we'll know for sure in a few seconds when we can get the calculators out and see how long is the gap between Winkelmann and the start-finish line and how much we are. We are 30 seconds away from the 1 hour mark, and I don't think that Winkelmann will be able to cover the gap between this position and the start-finish line in those 30 seconds. So I'm pretty confident this is the white flag out. But
I do believe the timing actually includes the pace lap, so they still have a couple of minutes to go at this point. So 1 hour actually includes the pace lap, I think. So as he comes around the final corner, we will see for ourselves if this is going to be. Does not look to be the final.
No, you are right. The timing is actually 53 and 52, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I might have been mistaken for the entire race. What great news, of course, as Gandur has lost another position and more positions. What happened to Jamal? He's dropping down the order. He's very slow coming out of the dreaded corner there.
I think he's been relying on the...
I think he hit the wall in the S's. Let's see.
Yep,
no, it wasn't in the S, sorry. It was in the boot, the dreaded corner where everything happened a couple of laps ago. That corner gave Gandur all those positions, and I think that now that corner has taken them away. Let's see. Oh yeah, in the grass, and in the fence.
A little bit of a mistake there on corner entry, and into that tire barrier he went. Abhi Putra, white Porsche 911 RSR in P4 at this moment. I think we've still got 5 to 6 minutes of racing to go at this point.
Yeah.
So
that was a
positions
big mistake
1
on
to
my
3.
part. And I apologize because I thought that the timing was wrong due to the technical issues we had. So I apologize profusely to the viewers, and to of course I apologize to Scott for because I thought that because of his technical difficulties we had a problem with the clock. We had not, and Scott is doing an amazing job, and we have 5 minutes left in the race. So. Man, this Watkins Glen track.
Yeah, it does magic to you.
It does a lot of magic to me, exactly. And we are seeing some great racing as well. So, I mean, more of the same. We are heading for other great tracks. As sadly, we see that Jamal Gandur has had to go to the pit lane, and you know he's doing a very long stop. And you might be asking why? Because of the fast repair, but maybe if you just have like a bent fender or something like that, and you go to your regular stop, that fast repair is checked by default, so you may involuntarily waste it on just a bent fender or something like that. So now that you have serious damage, you go in and you don't have that fast repair, and you have to take that long stop in the pits, and he will be there for a bit, I think. And everybody knows the track, everybody is so confident, but a lot of retirements today. I'm looking at the timing right now.
Yeah, it does look to be an eventful race here at Watkins Glen. The thing is, here at Watkins Glen, the race pace is much faster than many other circuits because this circuit actually flows from start to finish. There's no abrupt break in the flow of things, so there is a consistent rhythm that the drivers go, and they're able to carry speed through all the corners. As we see that Peter Clouter making a move over ahead of lap driver Simon Sanchez in the Macau Sim Racing Ford GT. Well, out into the gravels he went, and yeah.
Well, nobody can pass him, so no damage done there, I think.
Absolutely. So just a look at the gaps as they stand at the moment. Anthony Winkelmann in P1, race leader at the moment. He has a 15-second lead ahead of Peter Clouter, and Peter has an 18-second lead ahead of Jaswin Jali in P3, and ahead of P4. Gap between P3 and P4, Jali and Putra is I believe 12 seconds gap. So now I do think the podium has been solidified at this point, so it would be a battle for P4 that will take place between Abhi Putra and Mike Burdett.
Yeah, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the race, so I think this time around we'll see the white flag for Winkelmann because he's halfway through the lap, and we have a couple of, as we see, maybe a problem for Sanders. He's losing a lot of time from Crow in P8. He was like half a second back, and now he's 2.5 seconds back all of a sudden. A very, very slow lap, 152.3. As Winkelmann, yeah, he will take the white flag this time around, exiting the booth, going back to the NASCAR circuit and to the final two corners before getting that white flag. It has been a masterful drive from Winkelmann from start to finish. Only one more lap left for him, or not.
It's actually race over. So
Okay.
Anthony Winkelmann has been him and only him leading all race long tonight. Anthony Winkelmann wins round 7 of the Sim Racers Asia Pacific GTE Series here at Watkins Glen. So let's now have a look at Peter Clouter, P2 also. Peter having a great drive all evening. He comes home second here at Watkins Glen. Jaswin Jali in P3 at the moment, although we now have a look at Grand Crow versus Lopez de Oliveira, because both drivers having been in contention for the podium earlier on this race, but both now fighting for P9 at the middle of the grid. So at the moment, it does seem like Jaswin Jali and Abhi Putra, they have taken P3 and P4. So have the drivers been doing so from positions P5 to P8. So battle for P9, Grand Crow, last ditch attempt here as they take the final 2 high-speed corners of Watkins Glen. Is he able to make a last-minute attempt here? Oh, this is going to be very, very, very close. Leonardo Lopez Oliveira, Grand Crow side by side through the final corner. Grand Crow P9, Lopez Oliveira P10. So there is your top 10 rounded up here.
Yeah, Alex Paul, the last guy to cross the start finish line in P12. So I was wrong. The clock was wrong, and a third clock apparently was right to determine the exact timing, and that caught us by surprise. But we were able to celebrate Winkelmann's victory regardless on that final corner. And I mean, masterful job. Clouter, a great race as well, and Jali as well, good podium, and behind them, everything happened as we have the final results from the Glen. This 1 hour race, only 3 meetings left to decide this SRA GTE Championship. Anthony Winkelmann, your race winner, 16 seconds over Peter Clouter. In second position, Jaswin Jali is in third. Then Abhi Putra in fourth position. Mike Burdett is in fifth. And Shaiful Arifin in sixth position. Then Lachlan Crow in seventh. Arlan Sanders, good race for him in eighth position. The two big disappointments, Grant Crow and Leonardo Oliveira, 9th and 10th, 2 stops for them. Brian Ranford in 11th place, Alex Paul in 12th, and Simon Sanchez is in 13th position. The retirements: Jamal Khandour, Ahmad Nourazan, Mark Dredge, Paul Nelson, Kevin Wang in P18, Chris Barnes, Linar Kaksi, and Niranjan Kumar. Sadly, a disconnection problem for the Indian driver. And that is all for the classification. Another great Watkins Glen race, another race where we had some technical difficulties. We drove around them like last Wednesday, and in the end, it was a great race, Wei Han, with that always great driving from the SRA drivers. Clean, respectful driving. Then we had those 30 seconds of pure madness that ended up creating these huge gaps between P4 and P7 and 8. But those positions were for the rest of the race and for the entirety of the race. I see for the majority of the race, I say nose to tail with each other. Then those crashes happened, and we had all this spreading out of cars throughout the field. But all in all, some great racing once again.
Absolutely, of course. Just so we've had four-way battle trains that lasted all race long until the final quarter of the race, where things just went upside down, and we've had Justin, who's finally taken the third position there, rounding out the podium. So we've got Mr. Peter Clowiter from Impact Sim Racing Simsa here with us tonight here in the interview booth. Peter, is that you typing? All right. Okay.
Hello.
Peter, welcome to the commentary booth here tonight. Congratulations on finishing P2. Well, Peter, thing is, I think you were battling for the race lead with Anthony Winkelman. That must have been really intense for you, but there had also been a much crazier race that actually unfolded behind where you were from P3 onwards. So I think you can catch up with that as you watch the broadcast. So, Peter, please tell us the race from your perspective tonight.
Hi guys. First of all, thanks so much again for putting the race on. Thanks to you guys for commentating, and thanks to SRA for putting up the race. Yeah, I mean, we qualified quite strong. Grant and my teammate and myself, we put the cars in P2, and I think I was in P4 when we started. We were expecting to be pretty competitive with the top drivers. Unfortunately, my teammate had a little glitch of thought when we went from quali to race. As you guys have most likely seen, unfortunately, he left the quali load in the car. So that's why he had to go in fuel. But we were keeping up pretty much with Anthony. But again, Anthony, to be honest with you, and hands down and hats off to him, he's a different class of a driver, obviously. He was about, I think, 4/10, 5/10 on some laps faster than I was. Grant would have kept up with him. Grant was very strong on this track. Unfortunately, you can't win it all, but we're very proud for finishing in P2, and Grant finished in P10. Yeah, I will see afterwards what happened in the race, but I did notice that a lot fell away behind me. So yeah, thanks to everybody, and yeah, from our perspective, I'm just very proud of our team that we finished again on the top to show that we are gonna fight for the championship as much as we can.
Yeah, my next question was going to be about what happened to your teammate, and as you were talking, I said that because we were talking about many different options, and only now it came to mind, yeah, he might have left the quali fuel in. So next week we go to Le Mans, and it's going to be a unique race, I think, with a very long track, demanding track, and of course a track that I think is probably the track for this kind of cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's gonna be the real battle, and I think, to be honest with you, the guys who are on the Fords, I think they're gonna be very strong on that track. Is my guess right now, because the Ford tends to have very good straight power. So I think it's gonna be interesting for the guys who are competitive in the Ford. I think they can put the cars up in the top 5. But as you said, it's one of the most classic and most wonderful tracks, so it's going to be, battle galore for everybody. And I'm hoping that we get the same participants and more, so we can fill up that long track.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great race. We can't wait for next Saturday. Before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to thank?
As always, gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for commentating and following us. Such great commentating. Thank you guys. Thank you, SRA, for putting up the race. All the race drivers and the teams participating. And big shout out to my teammate for always practicing together and, putting up with all the stuff that we're doing in between family and work. And of course, shout out to Jamal from SRME. I don't know what happened, but God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter, and congratulations on P2. I think he will be very surprised when he goes back to watch the broadcast and he sees those 30 seconds of craziness.
Pretty much.
And then the 2 laps later, poor Jamal and heading straight for that same wall that gifted him all those positions, effectively ending his chances at a good finish. But it was a good drive, for Jamal. And I think, once again, all the drivers had a very good showing in professionality and speed and class on the track. It was very good racing, and I think we'll have more of the same next week. Of course, it's going to provide a challenge, I think, Le Mans, because of the long straights. How do you think the race will pan out next week?
Well, Circuit de la South that we're going to next week, Le Mans. Well, I have only positive thoughts for that track because only had good memories racing there at Le Mans. Because the track there is known, it's more centric on a straight line speed. At the same time, you've also got high speed corners in the form of the Théâtre Rouge and the Porsche corners. I believe those corners towards the second half of the track. So of course the cars have to be set up in such a way that it optimizes that it's for high speed. At the same time, it's stable, cornering at high speeds. And we've also got some sharp corners like those left right handers that come along the way after the Mulsanne straight. So heavily skewed towards top speed, and well, I think it's going to only be exciting. Probably a lot of slipstream racing, especially through Mulsanne straight. So it's going to be something that we can look forward to.
Okay, I think we are getting close to the end of the broadcast, so I would like to thank the drivers and everybody who's watched us. Remember, we have always some racing going on throughout the week. For example, we have tomorrow evening the final race of the regular season of the BSR Grand Tour, live from Phillip Island, but throughout the week you will have the official Le Mans Series, Ricmotec, BSR MX5s on Tuesday, and BSR TC on Thursday as well. So all week long, lots of entertainment on Apex Racing TV. Follow the channel and you won't miss a single broadcast. So it's getting time for the siesta here in my part of the world. I think that Wei Han and Scott Newton are about to go to sleep. So from me, Marco Barbanera, Wei Han Chan and Scott Newton behind the cameras, good morning, good afternoon, or in their case, good night. See you next time.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?